Y'all, it's 2 o'clock. It's time to pack up. And look, I finally found a way. I don't know how well you can see this. To hold both my signs and my water bottle with one arm, although it is getting quite cramped up. I'm going to try to move it over to the other side while I walk back to my parking spot. Let's switch everything over first before I start walking. Alright. Then we're that way, I can give this hand a break. But it was kind of nice finding that, like, just right way to hold both signs without one covering up too much of the other sign. Because people do like my Trump is a scourge on the planet sign, so I wanted that to really be showing.
I'm worn out. How about you?
Oh yeah, oh yeah. I got here quite late, but
Thank you, teacher. I was a teacher for 40 years.
Yep.
And that's why we're out here, because we know what it's about.
Yeah, like we got to fight for this freaking fragile democracy that's falling apart in front of our face.
Totally.
All right. So, as far as I know, I just have to walk over 1 block, walk down the street, and I should be at the parking lot that I parked in. And then I can just check and make sure I don't have any parking violations and I didn't get any tow notice or boot or anything like that. I don't think so. I don't think I was in a place that I would get something like that, but sometimes it's hard to know for sure. Oh, definitely tired. It's definitely hot, but I did put sunscreen on. That's no guarantee, because the sunscreen does wear off after a while. Like it's only, it only works very well for like an hour, I think, and then you're supposed to reapply. And I don't know how long I was here. I know I got here really late, but I did make sure I actually stayed all the way till 2 o'clock. Alright. This road right here is like nice and quiet. There's not that many people on it. Alright. See my car. It is there. It is not towed. So far I don't see a boot or anything. And the vehicles that were there, that were where I was parked, where I am parked, they are gone now too, so I'm assuming it's all good. But I'll find out when I check my windshield. And like I said, there was really not many people there against us. There was no counter protest that I saw. And there was like a couple hecklers that came by when I first got there. There was one other couple on a motorcycle that went by with their thumbs down. And that was it. Everybody else was there for us that I could tell. So that's good. I have no idea how many people were there. I know they said last year it was like 3,000. And I doubt that's what I saw here, but I will check Facebook late since I did get here a couple hours late. I'll check Facebook later and see how things look. Alright, I'm at the vehicle. Oh, I think I'm gonna have to go unlock the door, which will release the trunk. Alright. There we go. Okay. And I think, I'm going to flip this around. I think I'm going to need to like reinforce this one next time, because the bottoms pieces of the paper from the poster board are starting to pull up. And then the other one that I did that had the No Kings printouts on it. Flip that over. That one, I think if I'm going to keep using it for No Kings protests, I'll need to find some better tape for it. My face is pretty red. That could be sunburn, but it could also be because when I'm out in the heat, this is what my skin does. I look like this every time I mow the lawn. And sometimes I'll take pictures and show people that they'll think like I'm really badly sunburnt, but it's usually not that I'm really badly sunburnt. It's usually that my face is all red from being out in the heat. And then like a half hour later, I'm fine. All right, let's plug this bad buddy in. See if I can get the Android Auto to load up properly. And do that. And I think like 4 live streams since I left the house now. And I haven't checked any, so I'll have to check those when I get back. This one, that one that I was looking at the numbers at the top were both at 0. This one is different. So I wonder if that first one I did in the car is no good or anything. I don't know. I know why Streamlabs would not work on my phone when I was out of the car. I had to record video from my regular on the phone of just somebody deciding and showing my signs and everything. It was not because Streamlabs would not work. The audio was working. I tried to double check my audio. Everything I looked at said that wearing things like everything was to allow things to happen. It was connected to my earbuds. So I don't know what was going wrong. Like the first time that the Bluetooth was not connected, the saying wasn't working. But then even after I made sure it was connected, it still wasn't working. But then later on, when I got over to where I was seeing it worked just fine. So I don't know what that was. I just did this app on this, and I'll have to start looking things up to figure out how to work certain things, how to access certain things. And on my computer, there is, I didn't say it on this screen, but I said it on one of the other streams. I think yesterday when I was getting my signs prepared, there is a little bar that will show you that the sounds that you're collecting on your various from your various sources that you're trying to collect sound from, it will show you the sound as it's being made. But I don't have that on this, and I don't know if there's a way to get it on there. But I did notice that there was something for adding widgets and stuff, and I didn't want to mess around with that stuff yet since I was just starting to use it. I don't know how they work, I don't know where they would go, and I don't know how much of the screen. So I didn't want to have a bunch of that stuff up there, so I didn't mess with adding any widgets. I think all I did was told it to include the chat box at the bottom, which is why there's that weird stuff at the bottom of my streams. I think they're subscribers, basically. All right, I am going to see if I can't get my GPS loaded. See, it thinks it's a phone call. It literally thinks that this streaming thing, the Android Auto or whatever it's connected to, thinks that this is a phone call, that this streaming is a phone call, which is interesting. Okay, so I am still streaming. I am on Android Auto. I'm going to give me directions home, which I should find just fine, but just in case, I have definitely gotten turned around on roads that I should know perfectly well how to get around on. So I am going to use the GPS. Let's see what's on my notifications. I have an upcoming appointment with the VA. let's go back to the GPS. And I believe I'm just gonna go up there, make a right, and drive straight down the road until I get to the road the main road that I need to turn on. Yeah. Let's not go anywhere else. That is not what I need to be in. Be in drive. Just take it nice and slow, because this ground over here is quite wide. Alright, so I'm gonna go to the stop. I'm gonna turn right.
Head south on 1st Street toward Peach Street.
Woohoo!
Turn right onto Peachtree Street.
Alright. Go in the right direction. Heading out.
At the stop sign, turn right onto Peachtree Street.
I'm glad. So, the song that I have that says Trump is a scourge on the planet, I have been using that sign since the first time that I knew of Trump being at one of the things, I think it was at our local university in Palm Bay or Melbourne or something like that. And we were doing a protest against him then. This was back when, what is it? Oh, that's the rear view mirror. This was back when, oh, I'm not supposed to be in this turn lane. I don't care. I'm turning here. I'm already in the turn lane. Okay, so this was back before he had actually ever become president, when he was running for president. It was around the point where we realized that it wasn't all just a big joke and he was never going to make it. It was when we started to really get worried that it was still a big joke, but he was going to make it. Like, all the fucking news places, it just kept playing him because they also thought it was a big joke and they thought it was funny, but that gave him more freaking airtime than anybody, over and over and over and over again. So
600 feet, turn right onto West King Street.
at that point we had gotten to where we realized that this guy is getting a lot of airtime he shouldn't be getting, mostly from people making fun of him, but also it was collecting more and more people that actually were supporting him. So it was around that time, and we were like, fuck this. We do not want this guy
Continue on West King Street for
to
half
be
a mile.
president. Oh, and I just passed the intersection that the protest was at, and there's still people there. And it is definitely it is almost 2:15, and they're still standing there. The protest is supposed to be over at 2, which is totally fine. Like, more power to them. I'm just hot and tired, and I am ready to go home. All right.
In a quarter mile, use the left two lanes to turn left onto Florida 519 South.
Now,
South
hopefully,
Fifth
when I
Boulevard.
get home and I check these, the sound is all right. But if not, I will. Like, what are you gonna do? What are you gonna do? I can try to fix it if there's a way to do that.
At the light,
I don't
use the
think
left
it's
two lanes to
recording
turn left
my,
onto Florida 519 South, South Fifth
oops.
Boulevard.
I was supposed to turn on Fisk. I'm not going to. I'm fine with staying on 520. All right. What was I saying? I don't remember. I don't remember. All right. So, okay. So I am going back home from Cocoa. I am on 520. I've been on 520 plenty of times. I don't mind staying on 520. I mean, honestly, I'd prefer 520 over Fisk Boulevard. Fisk Boulevard reminds me a little bit of Wickham, except, I don't know, maybe a little more run down. But a lot of lights, a lot of stopping, a lot of annoyance, a lot of slow traffic. So I'd rather just stay on 520 and then go to the freeway. But the real reason that I didn't turn on Fisk is because I was not paying attention when it told me that I should be on Fisk. But that's okay. I am totally okay with this. Oh, it's been a day. but it's well worth it. We need to fucking exercise our democratic democratic republic rights to protest our jacked the fuck up government. And our government is so fucking jacked up right now. It's telling me to do a U-turn.
Make a U-turn at South Bar Avenue, then turn right on
Alright,
Florida.
I feel like I need to do this.
In 1,000 feet, make a U-turn.
This doesn't make sense to
Make
me.
a U-turn.
I'm gonna take B. I think B goes to the freeway, which is where I plan on going. Like, come on. Yes, it's slower. But I don't give a damn. I do not give a damn. Like, look at this road. There's barely anybody on it. It's fucking awesome. Alright, so let's back out of there. Yes. Yes, this is going exactly where I want it to go. To 95. I used to go to school down here at the EFSC Cocoa campus, back when it was BCC. In fact, I graduated from BCC in 2006. Long time ago. But I definitely went to Cocoa. I went to Cocoa for, I think it was some of my art classes and some of my education classes. Because I was in a liberal studies program with education, early education as my minor, and art and social sciences as my main focus areas, so that I could get a education certification through one of the back doorways. You take all the classes that you need, you get the degree that you need, but it doesn't have to be an education degree. And the only reason I did not get an education degree is because it was going to take me slightly longer to get an education bachelor's than what I still had VA benefits for. And so the VA would not approve it. I mean, I don't know. Maybe they would have approved it if I said, oh, I'll pay for the rest. But like, I didn't want to be in longer than I already needed to be in, because I had already done a lot of extra classes. And the reason that it was going to extend beyond the window that it should have is because it was because I had started out in a graphics program, like art computer graphics program, and I backed out of that program. I had to take this like really basic art class, and the school at EFSC did not have that class available, so I had to go all the way to no, actually it wasn't that. It was I had already joined university. UCF did not have UCF wouldn't take, God, I can't remember exactly what it was, but there was something going on. I had to freaking take one of my classes at it wasn't my college. It was a college I had to sign up for the summer to go to that college, just to take that class because they didn't have it at the school that I was in. And driving all the way, it was I don't remember if it was Jupiter or Boca Raton, but it was one of them. Driving all the way there, and sometimes having to deal with freaking tropical storms and shit like that, fucking all kinds of crazy crap, and I have anxiety while driving, so I would have these anxiety attacks, and freak out, and I would have to pull off the road, pull off the freeway, and go find a restaurant or something like that, a restaurant or a store somewhere where I could just either park that, wait for then and maybe that I was not
To Miami.
like there would always be like something would mess up my art projects. I'd have to start them over again, and it just really quickly got to where I knew there was no way I was going to be able to do well on this class in the situation. The driving was too much. The trying to watch the baby and do my painting projects and all of that at the same time was too much. And the condensed summer class with all of that going on was too much. So I had to talk to my VA counselor about what I was going to do. And she was the one that suggested maybe it's time to look at a different degree. Because this one I'm doing, it was still going to take longer than a regular degree would take,
Turn left onto the
as long as the education degree. So do my degree, agree with it. It was the first time I tried to go through the VA, every single idea I had, and I'd give them the data for it, every single one they would shoot down in the graphics program in the first place, because she did not shoot me down. She was okay with my ideas. And then when it came time to try to switch over, she's like, okay, we can't fund the education degree all the way through because because your VA benefits are not going to cover it all. But there are these other ways that you can get into education. And I knew that because I had already talked to other people who were in programs before that were trying to get into education. I knew that there was a required amount of classes that needed to be taken in specific areas. I knew that you had to have a bachelor's degree. And so I knew that what I needed to do was find a degree that would allow me to take the classes that I needed to, get the full bachelor's degree. And the liberal studies one was it. The liberal studies one gave me the opportunity to do an education minor, which got most of the education classes that I needed done. And then social science and art both actually allowed me to get some of the education classes that I needed to get my education certification. So yeah, that's what I ended up doing, is liberal studies with education minor, social science, and art in order to become an educator, which I ended up going into substituting. I wanted to do that because I wanted some experience in the classroom before I started applying to be a teacher. Well, then around the time that I did that I started doing subbing, it was like the bottom fell out, and you had all these people that were exodusing out of Florida. So you had a lot of funding being stripped, and you had a lot of teaching positions just being frozen. That's what they started with. They started freezing every position that they could. So they end up with a lot. So basically, once these people stop working in those positions, they're no longer filled. So they have less teaching positions being filled, so they don't have to spend as much money. That's how they started out. Then they started stripping actual positions also. So it ended up getting to where they were just like completely gutting the education system here, gutting the positions, and you had all these people trying to get in education jobs, and every time I would apply for an education position,
almost every time. If I got anything back, it was a notice saying, I'm so sorry, you know, maybe your stuff looks good and everything, but we have people with master's degrees and doctorates that are looking for jobs, so you just don't have the experience that we need. You don't have the education and experience that we want. Like, we're not even going to look at your resume because you don't have a master's or a doctorate. It was ridiculous. Eventually, all those budget cuts and everything really screwed over the Florida education system. They didn't have enough teachers. They didn't have enough substitutes. They didn't have enough anything because they had pulled funding and pulled positions in so many areas. And so I started applying for more positions at that time, and I got some good interviews out of it. I got a couple positions where I really thought I was going to get the job, but I did not. I even got to where I was at the very end of the application process and still did not get that final call back, even though I thought I would. Like, there was one, it was between me and one other person, and I really thought I would get it, and I didn't. And this was years in. I was so frustrated, and I felt like I had been doing subbing, and I had been doing assistant teaching positions, just cycling through them, and none of them are permanent, so I didn't have the connections that I needed for, you know, if you have a permanent job, you have better opportunities to get into certain jobs, and I didn't have that. I didn't have access to a lot of things because I just kept getting in these part-time, temporary positions that only lasted a little while. And by that point, like, I didn't want to be a substitute anymore. I really wanted to be a real full-time teacher. And the assistant positions are okay and everything, but they pay very little. They do not pay much. So I really wanted to get into a full-time teaching position. And the closest I ever got was being an assistant to the head special ed teacher at Odyssey for a little while. That was the closest, and that was after I had pretty much given up. When I was homeschooling my oldest kid because regular schooling was not going well for them, and homeschooling turned out to be the best thing for them. We homeschooled them through middle school, put them back in high school, and they did really, really well for the most part. They had a minor breakdown towards the end because of trying to put too much stuff on their plate, so to speak. They were dual enrollment. They were in the advanced theater program. They had taken a lot of college level classes and stuff like that, and it was getting too much. I think the theater was their favorite. That is what they loved, but it was also causing them undue amounts of stress because they were trying to appease everybody. They were trying to please everybody, and it was getting too much for them. So towards the end, we had to pull them out of the advanced theater program and take them out of dual enrollment, which I felt really, really awful about. But I felt like it was something they needed because they were just too stressed out, and we were getting really worried. I also had to put them in therapy because of everything being as bad as it was, and I didn't know how bad it was until the guidance counselor sent me a message that they were sent a note that because he felt like that should have been confidential. But the counselor felt that it was serious enough that they needed to tell me. And I'm glad they did. I am sad for my kid that they felt that it was a, breaking of their confidence. But they were in a position where it was they weren't like suicidal, but it was sounding like it was getting there. Some of the stuff that they were saying in the letter they had sent definitely sounded very like fatalistic and stuff like that. So I felt really bad, really, really bad for them, for the situation that we had to pull them out of theater when they left theater, but theater was causing like the most strain for them. And I think they were fine with being pulled out of dual enrollment. I think dual enrollment was just taking too much. So, it is what it is. I don't know how I got off on this tangent. Oh yeah, I was talking about my education and how, like, I was over at Cocoa for a while when I was doing the education minor and the art focus. So my art class would be all the way at the Cocoa campus because BCC and UCF were joint campuses at the time. I think they still are, but it's just EFSC instead of BCC. And yeah, some of my art classes and some of my education classes were both at that Cocoa campus, which is down the road a little ways from that water tower that I think I had showed you in one of the streams. One of my streams today. I've done so many streams today. I'm just enjoying talking, I think is what it is. So, and I still haven't found out if these streams in the car sound okay, but hopefully they do. Hopefully they do. I'm glad it's working now, at least. And I was very surprised to see that it worked. The Bluetooth for the earbuds worked on the phone, and at least as far as I can tell. I won't know for sure until I get home and check my streams. And my Android Auto worked together, because I wasn't sure if like streaming those two things and having Bluetooth going on two things at the same time was going to work, but it seems to. I had to change the settings for a couple of things to get it to work, but it's working now. All good. Alright, how long does it say? I have 18 minutes left on 95. Thinking about shutting off because I'm tired and I'm not sure I feel like streaming anymore today. I feel like I've streamed enough. Sure everybody that has seen this, if anyone has seen it, because I know that I don't get a lot of views on most of my streams, but if anyone's seen it, I'm sure they're getting tired of seeing my ugly mug. So, and I still got 17 minutes on this drive, so I think I'm going to go ahead and shut it down and just focus on my driving